Gyms have taken a huge hit during COVID-19 closures. Many have simply stopped operating, while others have adapted to the current environment through online sessions. With restrictions beginning to ease across the country and gyms allowed to reopen to some extent in the next few weeks or months, I'm wondering how gyms will look in the new normal. Today, I'm joined by CQ University's Director of Motivation of Health Behaviours Lab, Dr Amanda Rebar. Welcome to CQUni Commentary, Amanda.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
In chilly Rocky.
I know, I'm freezing.
Amanda, firstly, how hard has COVID-19 pandemic been on gyms and fitness centres across the country?
It's like most industries, it's been completely devastating for them. Most of them have had to close their doors. And it's really hard to see because businesses are going through their own timeframes and their own trajectories. So you have some gyms that have just opened up. There's a brand new one in Yeppoon that just had to close before they even opened their doors. And you've had other gyms that have been going for years and years that are getting disrupted, and that comes with its own challenges and trying to maintain your membership throughout that. But I did chat with a gym owner locally, and he mentioned that he's using it as a time to renovate. So he has a 24/7 gym and decided, you know what, if I'm down, I might as well make the best of it and use this to make it better and do things I wanted to do for a while, but couldn't bring myself to close the gym and not make that available for their members. So, I mean, some people are handling it in a different way than others.
Yeah, it must be really tough on them. I mean, some have responded in a different way, I guess. You know, some have closed and some have actually gone to online sessions and other different things. How have you found that?
I mean, I'm a behavior change scientist. So in a really nerdy way, it's really interesting from a health behavior perspective. So what does it do to people who they have this routine or they have these habits to go to the gym every day at a certain time, and then all of a sudden that's taken away from them? So gyms have the hard task of trying to pivot in a way that's relevant for their membership. So a lot of people, you know, I have two small kids at home. Like a gym is like an exotic holiday because I don't have someone going, "Mommy, mommy." And if I do, I don't have to answer, which is great. But so I go for a release of regular life, and other people go for different reasons, you know, to train for events or to get fit or to reach certain goals. And those people, depending on why they're there, are going to want different things out of the gym than the gyms can provide maybe in this type of environment. So the online sessions that people have been doing and the personal training via virtual or phone may work for people if their goal is to maintain exercise or feel fit. But, you know, for me, who just wanted to leave my house, it doesn't work because you tried to use dumbbells downstairs and it's not a good combination with 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. I learned that was going to be a trip to the hospital rather than a stress-free event. So it doesn't work for me. So I think you can't underestimate the fact that people don't all exercise for the same reason. And if you're going to change what you provide, it needs to be able to be relevant for all the reasons people go to the gym.
Okay, so with many gyms going this sort of online route, has it been an easy process for them, do you think?
It's hard to tell. And like I was kind of chatting about, it depends on what you want out of it. And there's so much, it's such a different competitive environment. You know, there's people and businesses that have been doing online sessions and online training long before the gyms have had to close their door for COVID. So you're having to catch up to quite a broad competition. And so they're all of a sudden having to compete with businesses that they didn't have to before. So it's much harder for local gyms to make that jump as opposed to bigger corporations who may have already been integrating into that system anyway. As far as how patrons go, it's really hard to tell. In general, it seems like people are doing a decent job shifting it from going into the gym to being active in other ways. But many people are way less active than they were before. And some people find themselves more active because it's their only way to get out of the house. So it just points to how idiosyncratic and how individual the process is and the relationship between gyms and their patrons are. It's not a one-size-fits-all model.
What do you think people have been doing outside the gym? Do you think they've been using parks and things, or using, dumbbells downstairs and things like that?
I'm imagining everyone's trying different things, and that's really interesting. I do a lot on habit development and formation, and when you disrupt what you're used to, it becomes a lot more, I say effortful, not in a physical way, not like it's actually harder exercise, but you have to make every decision when you wouldn't usually through your day-to-day life. So if you usually go to the gym and it's kind of like automatic for you because you just do the same thing every time, and then all of a sudden you start a new gym or you start a new routine where you're doing stuff outside or in your house, all of a sudden you have to make all these tiny little decisions that add up and can get really frustrating. Okay, so where are you going to do it? What happens when the ceiling fan turns on? Make sure your fingers aren't too high. Hypothetically, of course, that was not my circumstance. And how far are you going to go outside? Make sure, what time are you going to go so that there's decent weather and it's not too sunny? And those decisions, even though they seem really small, when they add up, can feel really exhausting and can be really cumbersome when it comes to trying to do that over and over again, because then you're going to go, oh my gosh, it was so hard to figure out all that stuff out yesterday. It's not worth it today. I don't have the cognitive energy. It's just, and that always stuck out to me when I started a new gym, and you're like, where's the workout place, and what should I do next, and what does that machine do? And those decisions are really a risky time for making sure you exercise in the long term, because they really put people off. So you want to do something that you're really comfortable with, and that you feel is working for you. The worst thing you can do as a person who wants to continue to exercise is try to force yourself to do it, even though it's not working. Like if it's stressing you out, if you're getting that dreading feeling ugh, I just can't bring myself to do it, then don't do it. Do something else, for heaven's sake. Even if you force yourself to do it for a while, eventually your priorities are going to shift and you're going to not do it anymore. So I'd much prefer someone find something that works and spend some while trying different things as opposed to forcing themselves into it. So my long answer to that was, I think it's interesting to see what people will do and what will work and what won't.
Enjoying this episode? Subscribe to CQUniversity Commentary on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts for more. And remember to rate, review, and share.
I guess people are reaping the benefits financially for not having gyms open.
Well, it depends. I haven't heard of very many gyms who have given their money back to members. Okay. A lot of people are in contracts.
Yep.
So it could be, if it's local gyms or gyms that people feel connected to, they're paying their membership fees regardless. And it could be contractually they have to.
Okay.
So, it's even before COVID, a lot of gym business models rely on the fact that 60% of people will sign up and then stop going within 3 months. Gyms would be in a hard place if everyone that had a membership showed up every day. So they rely on people to not effectively be able to go to the gym. And it's a risky model. But in times like this, when no one can go, but you're still signed up to pay, they might not be hurting as bad as other places.
Okay. So when gyms actually go back operating as normal, do you think they're going to retain their old clients, or do you think people will start to like their new normal?
See, and again, this goes back to my nerdy interest in habits and how they form. So it might be that if people find a new system and a new routine that they like and works better for them than gyms, then they might not go back. And so there is a risk that whenever people start trying something other than using your business, there's a risk that you're going to lose them. So if people have shifted to doing different online programs or we're doing stuff outside that isn't reliant on a gym, And sometimes groups have gotten together either virtually or in socially distanced place and say, hey, let's just do this together. We all know what we're doing and we don't need machines. So it might be that gyms find that they lose some clientele because of this. And also people are in financially desperate places and may realize that gym memberships are not one of their priorities anymore. So yeah, there's a massive risk, and a massive risk that if they come back and they're not as competitive as some of the others, they did not pivot in the same way as some of the gyms, then there's a risk that the competition playing field is going to shift too.
So how do you think that gyms and fitness centers can learn from this whole experience? You know, is there value in online sessions moving on? Can they sort of really build on that, or what do you think?
Yeah, I think if I were a gym member, a gym owner, what I would want to reflect on is, what are people getting from my service? What is it that they're getting? It's not sitting at a machine, and it's not that you have the most variety. It's that they're getting some sort of reward or satisfaction out of it. It could be, like I said, that they're achieving a goal, or it could be that they're relieving stress, or it could be that they're connecting with other people when they don't usually do in their day-to-day life. So I think what I would like gyms to learn and to reflect on in this time is, how can you best serve the different needs of your clientele, and how can you capture the different audiences that you have that aren't just there to get fit. A lot of the gyms sell this idea that pain is weakness leaving the body, or 6 pounds in 6 days, or that it's really focused on physical appearance or strength. And most people, and the research we've done, most people, that's not why they exercise. And that's not a reliable outcome. When you go and you don't lose weight, or you're not reaching those goals that you have, it's really disheartening, and it can stop you towards a healthy lifestyle. So I'd really love to see gyms pivot in a way that it expands beyond the fitness push. But if they do that, then they might get people to show up more than 3 months out of the year, in which case their business model goes out the window. So depends on what the motivation there is, I think. Yep. It's a pretty easy sell if you want to take money and then no one has to do anything. That's a nice business model.
Absolutely. I mean, those gyms that do pivot and you can utilize online sessions as well as having a traditional gym, how do you think they're going to compete? Because in that sector, because there's a lot that's online.
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? And it's an integration, that doing the blending, that CQU does so well between the virtual and in face-to-face classroom. It's a hard model because you have to be good at two very different ways of interacting and connecting with people. So you gotta decide if it's worth the cost to get the benefits. So is it worth putting all the resources into having those online classes, and does that take away from what you're doing in the actual gym? So it's anyone's bet. I don't know, and it'll be interesting to see how the gyms, what decisions they make as businesses, but also what the reaction is from the clientele and what people want out of gyms. Will it be different? Will they demand different things than they have before?
I suppose, just summing up now, I mean, in your opinion, what's the best way forward for gyms from this point?
The best way forward, hang in there. That's just what I say to everyone now. But the best way forward is to reflect on your business model and on where your clientele are too. You can't assume that people will come out of this with the same mentality that they did the day they left your gym for the last time before it closed. People are changing as a result of this, and their priorities will shift as well. And so I think it's a disservice if you ignore that when you open your doors again.
Well, thanks, Amanda, for joining us on CQUni Commentary. Your insight in the fitness industry is fantastic. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. It was lovely chatting with you. Stay warm.
Yeah. Awesome.
Bye-bye.